Hello, hello, hello. I'm not clapping today. I know I've been clapping a lot in my other videos. Happy Wednesday to you. Today we're going to be making okonomiyaki, Hiroshima style. It's one of my favorite ways to eat okonomiyaki. I think two of the more popular ways are Kansai style and Hiroshima style. I think the worst okonomiyaki that I've ever eaten is when I was in Tokyo about, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, and I wanted to eat okonomiyaki. I found a place that looked really good. It was not good at all. So I was super disappointed, and I realized that after that time, even if there are good reviews, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be good, especially for a regional specialty like Hiroshima style okonomiyaki, which is from Hiroshima. That's definitely something that you need to eat when you're in Hiroshima. Anyways, I have some of my ingredients ready to go. Question of the day, what is your favorite style of okonomiyaki? Do you like Hiroshima style, Osaka style, or some other region? Every region makes it a little bit differently. And today we're going to be doing Hiroshima style, like I said. So I have my ingredients ready to go. I have my pan. We're going to be using a cast iron pan. We're going to be putting some bean sprouts in it, a little bit of cabbage, some green onions, and we're going to be using yakisoba noodles, which should be easy to find. And if you want to make Hiroshima style, one of the things that is different from Osaka style is the way that you make the batter. So the batter is usually made with wheat flour and it's thin. So in Osaka, they mix everything together also, but in Hiroshima, they pile everything on top. So it's like a crepe, and then you pile all of your stuff on top of it, and you flip it and add the noodles and then the eggs. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I have some sauce here. I have Kewpie Mayo, which is key. I have okonomiyaki sauce, shichimi pepper, tenkatsu, which are kind of like fried little pieces of dough if you've never had it before, aonori, which is seaweed, dried seaweed, some katsuobushi flakes, and then if you want to cheat, you can use this okonomiyaki powder mix, which is a very easy way to make the batter. All you have to do is add, usually it's just egg and water, but for today we used hakurikiko, which is it's called weak, I guess you translate it weak flour in English. It's a little bit different from all-purpose flour, but you can use that as well. And we just added a little bit of water, mirin, and also an egg. So that's what I've got there. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. We don't need this stuff anymore. Adjust the camera a little bit. Okay, so let's cut these green onions up. We're gonna want these cut thin as possible, the long way. So not the way that you usually cut them. So I have about 4 pieces here. And you want to cut them as thin as possible. So maybe, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch thick. Doesn't have to be exact, but they do cook a little bit quicker the thinner that you cut them. But if you don't want to cut them that thin, it doesn't matter. You can do it however you like. So I got my cabbage here. We are going to use about a little over 1 cup and a quarter per person. So I just have 1 serving. We're going to do 1 serving today. The batter that I have posted on my website is enough for 4 to 8 people, depending on how thick you make your crepe or your, I guess, your base. So you want to cut the cabbage as thin as possible as well, unless you like, it's personal preference, but I like it really thin. In Japan, they don't really give you huge pieces of cabbage, so I try to cut it as thin as possible. So just a little bit more than that. So a good handful is what we're going to be using. So we have green onions, cabbage. Set this aside. I did chill the batter for about an hour in the fridge, and that's important. It's just like if you were making crepes, it helps the gluten to form between, and it'll make for a better texture once you're ready to make it. So at this point, I'm going to preheat my pan. And you want to spray it with a little bit of cooking spray, or if you want to use oil, you can do that too. So once this gets preheated, what we're going to do is layer on a very thin layer of batter. We're going to make it about an eighth of an inch thick. If you want it thicker, you can do it that way also. But the thinner it is, the crispier it gets. So that's what we're going to try to do today. Let's see. What else? So the bean sprouts, we're going to use about 1/3 of a cup. And after we get this crepe made, we're going to put the cabbage, the green onions, the bean sprouts, the tenkatsu, and a little bit of the katsuobushi flakes. And then we're going to let it cook for maybe like 30 seconds or a minute. And then we're going to put on the meat. So I forgot, I had meat that I defrosted in the microwave. I think it should be done. Yeah. So this is beef, thinly sliced beef. Usually they use pork, but I didn't have any pork, so we're going to use beef today. And then we're going to put, after we put that on top, we're going to layer it on again with a little bit of batter, and that'll help to keep everything close together. So once we do that, then it's time to flip. We'll flip it over, let the meat cook through, and then once we get that once we get the meat nice and cooked through, then we're going to add the yakisoba noodles, which is this. A little bit of water, a little bit of oil. We're going to throw in some okonomiyaki sauce to flavor it, and a little bit of pepper. And then we're going to put that on top or underneath the crepe, the okonomiyaki, and then we're going to push that over to the side and then crack an egg. And then that's going to be the last step. So it looks like my pan's just about ready. I'm going to put on about maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons worth of crepe. I'm going to spread it out. Crepe batter, not crepe. So this is going to be about 6 to 8 inches thick, or wide, I mean, sorry. It's hard to cook and talk at the same time, I tell you. All right, so that's ready to go. We're going to go ahead and put on the cabbage, the moyashi, or the bean sprouts. Turn down the heat a little bit to a medium-low so it doesn't burn. The green onions, you don't want to use all of this, just a little bit. The katsuobushi flakes. And if you've never used katsuobushi before, one of the cool things about it is that it moves when it gets hot, because the steam causes the flakes to move. So really cool for kids. I remember being mesmerized the first time I saw it. So this is the tenkatsu. We're going to put maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons worth. This gives it a nice crunch. And then the meat, we're going to use about 2 to 3 slices, depending on how much meat you want to be eating. So I usually do enough to cover. And then we're going to add on a little bit more batter, like I mentioned. This will help to keep everything together. And if you're not sure if the okonomiyaki is ready to flip or not, you can just check, use a spatula to check underneath. The bottom piece should be nice and gold. So I can tell, it looks like it should be about done right now. Yeah, so it's got a nice gold color. So you use 2 spatulas to help you flip this over without making a mess. Because in Japan, when you eat this, they do it for you, and sometimes they have a big, long grill with seats that go along it. And I guess depending where you go, you can make it yourself. Sometimes they do it for you. But the flip here is probably the most difficult part. I always do it towards me because I think it's easier than doing it away from you, but whatever feels most natural, just do that. Okay. So once we have it flipped, we're going to get the yakisoba cooked. So I'm going to add in a little bit of oil. I'm going to use olive oil. Keep it fresh. And then we're going to break this up so that it cooks and gets heated through. And then we're going to put a little bit of water. Where's my little pitcher? There it is. A little bit of water to break up the noodles. Throw on some pepper. A little bit of okonomiyaki sauce to give it some flavor. Oh, it smells so good right now. I cannot wait. I would say the worst part about this Hiroshima style okonomiyaki is it's going to give you a food coma. It is full of carbs thanks to the noodles. Okay. So my meat doesn't appear to be completely cooked yet, so we'll let that go for a little bit. The next thing that we're going to do is put this crepe on top of the noodles. So as soon as that meat is cooked through, we'll do that. And then we can crack an egg and put that as our bottom layer. And once the egg is slightly cooked, we can serve it. And dinner will be ready, so not too bad. In about 15 minutes time. Pretty easy to make, I think. So let's grab a plate. And you don't have to use beef if you don't want to. You can use fish, not fish, you can use squid. Squid is probably more common than fish. You can use pork, you can use mochi, you can put cheese on it. You can put all kinds of different stuff on okonomiyaki, but I would say beef and pork are probably my favorites. Okay. Just making sure that it isn't sticking to the sides. It looks like we're good. Okay, so I am going to layer the okonomiyaki that we just made on top of the yakisoba noodles, and then we're going to crack the egg. It's like some of it fell out. That's fine. Put on a little bit more oil. And then we're cracking the egg. And as soon as you crack it, you want to crack the yolk also, unless you want a runny yolk. And then we're going to move this big pile of noodles, vegetables, and crepe and put it on top of the egg. And it's all going to steam and help cook the egg. All right, so now I think it's just about done. Let's go ahead and put this on my plate. It's like some of the egg stuck. And tuck this under. All right, so here is the final dish. Okonomiyaki. We'll put on a little bit of katsuobushi on top. I'll show you what that looks like when it's moving, if you can see. Actually, these flakes are kind of small, so maybe you won't be able to see it that well. Can you see them? You can barely see it moving. But when the flakes are bigger, you can see it pretty easily. So now we're gonna throw on some mayo, Kewpie mayo, which is key. Oh no, just blue katsuobushi flakes everywhere. And some okonomiyaki sauce. Oops. Some aonori. And shichimi pepper. So this will give it a little spicy kick. And this is my dinner. So not too bad, right? Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have questions, I have the recipe up. Let's go ahead and have a taste here while you're waiting. It's been so long since I made this. I think I'm gonna have to start making this more often. So here's how it looks. Final okonomiyaki dish. Should probably cut it into a smaller piece. Sorry, I was so engrossed in my cooking. I miss you, Billy. Thanks for the comment. It's delicious. Hey Vicky, good to see you. Sorry I missed your comment. I was too engrossed in my cooking. I was in my zone. All right, so not too bad for about 15-20 minutes work. I did cheat a little bit. This batter only took about 5 minutes to put together. It's just like any other crepe batter, so you want to make sure that you have it rest so you get a nice fluffy pancake, I guess you could say. And I think that's going to be it for today. So this is my 7th live video, and I can't believe it's already my 7th. If you want to see my other recipes that I've done live, you can look at my playlist. So I have a bunch of them. I've done mackerel, I've done agadashi tofu, I've done mapo tofu, I've done some miso recipes, one miso fish, one miso vegetable recipe. Not sure exactly what I'm going to do next. I was originally thinking about just doing this for 8 weeks, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing it longer than that. We'll see how it goes. Let me know if you guys like this, and maybe I will keep continuing to do this. But otherwise, I think that'll be it for today. And thanks for joining. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure that you do so. And the recipe is on my website, alldayieat.com. And other than that, have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next week. All right, see you guys later.